Welcome to the BartenderHQ.com podcast. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at BartenderHQ. Here's your host, David Eden-Sangwell.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the BartenderHQ.com podcast, number 18, I believe we're at now. Now, this week I have been a little bit addicted to Bar Rescue with Jon Taffer, which is the American TV show where Jon Taffer goes into a struggling bar that has called him, and the idea is that over a number of days, I believe it's 5 days, he has to turn the bar around and fix all the problems that they have. Now, it's a really good show. I was expecting to see a lot of stuff that I didn't agree with on it. I think he does shout a bit, but that's actually part of his sort of on-screen character. I don't know how separate that is from his real persona, but it's a really entertaining show. I mean, like most American shows, it does kind of repeat itself a little bit. It tends to be because they've got the commercial breaks and that sort of thing in there, where they'll show something before the commercial, then they'll go to commercials, come back, show the same thing again, they'll show the same quotes a few times, but that's absolutely fine, you know. And they're just getting around the different parts and making sure that everyone kind of understands the narrative. So, 5 lessons that we can learn as bartenders or bar owners, bar managers, from Jon Taffer on Bar Rescue. Cool, so the first one, and this is kind of in every episode, I think I haven't seen anywhere they've had bartenders doing this right from the start. Learn to pour accurately. Now, this is not just for the free pouring guys out there. Even if you're using a jigger, it is quite easy to be really sloppy with your jiggers, and there's no need for it. It doesn't take a huge amount of practice to actually get good at free pouring. Free pouring is my preferred method, I must say, although if you are creating drinks, it is very advantageous to grab yourself a jigger and make sure that you're measuring everything completely accurately while you're getting the recipes down on paper. That way you can make sure your costings are right for everything, and you can make sure the balance of the drinks is right before you then make them, because quite often you're going to be putting a 1/4 ounce in and then tasting and then going, no, we need another 1/4 of sugar syrup, something like that. So yeah, the first thing, I mean, he'll quite often do the measurement system where they weigh the bottles at the beginning of the shift, weigh them at the end, compare that to the tills and see what the difference is. And there have been some staggering results, $700, $800 worth of liquor that's been lost, if you like, whether it's given away over the bar, if it's over poured, it's free drinks, it's shots, it's breakages, whatever it is. Obviously it can't happen. Overpouring, if you are pouring more into your clients' glasses than they are paying for, especially if you're doing it intentionally, that is theft, and that is put out plenty of times on the show. It's a very good point. Make sure that you're pouring accurately. I know from my days at TGI Fridays that we had to calibrate ourselves every shift before we were allowed to bartend and make sure that we were accurately pouring our shots, and that's fine by me. I know in a lot of bars it's once a week or it's once a fortnight or whatever it is. Make sure if you free pour, you are calibrating yourselves, make sure you're practicing, make sure you're pouring as accurately as you humanly can. So yeah, that's a great way of controlling your costs in the bar, obviously. Keeping it simple, this is number 2. Quite often he will go into a bar and the menu will be enormous. And I don't just mean drinks menus, this is quite often food it actually applies to, but I think the same thing can be said of drinks menus. You can get some sprawling menus in different places, and that's fine. You know, it's not a problem to have a good wide range of drinks, but not every guest wants to be presented by a Bible to try and choose a drink from when they come out. One of the quotes on the show was that people spend, I believe it's 109 seconds looking at a menu before they will choose something. That's the typical amount of time that they will spend looking before they get pretty much fatigued by reading it. And then they'll either look at just ordering something they know, excuse me, or they'll essentially spend less money with you. So it's best to keep, I think, he had a pirate-themed bar that had 148 or something different food items on their menu. Now, if you've got the same with your drinks, obviously it's a lot easier to combine different spirits and that sort of thing to make new drinks than it is to combine food items to make new food items. But if you've got a sprawling menu of 150, 200 drinks on every table, your customer will be overwhelmed. It's your job as a bartender to guide them to a drink that they'll enjoy, but initially give them a smaller selection on your menu, or maybe just literally feature, say, 20 drinks, and then you can include the rest in kind of a list format for them to look at later, but say, start here, pick one of these drinks for your first drink, unless you already know what you want. And that way you can actually concentrate on some key kind of drinks and make sure you've always 100% got those items in stock, and you can make those your signature drinks, and those are the ones that will become popular and hopefully sell a lot. Obviously, therefore, make sure that those drinks are ones that you make a decent profit margin on as well. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, take pride in cleanliness. It can't be said enough how filthy some of these bars are on Bar Rescue. I mean, they must. I mean, obviously they're kind of editing it in the same way that any TV show is, to show the most dramatic. So they'll pull out a bin in a kitchen and they'll find a dead rat under it on the floor that's been there for 6 months or something. It's horrific, some of these bars, and if your bar is dirty, you need to clean it. If you can walk into your bar, what you need to do is basically stop looking at it as a bartender, look at it as a customer, come in from outside. This is something I learned actually at Frankie and Benny's, was to go outside of your business and walk into it and look at everything that your guests will look at on the way in. So you're going to look at the awnings on the outside of your bar. You're not just going to look inside your bar and at your bar floor, that sort of thing. Look at your awnings, look at your approach to the bar, how your customers will see it from outside. Look at anything that's damaged, anything that needs replacing, light bulbs need replacing, things like that. If you've got worn varnish on your bar, anything like this, it's not necessarily as much cleanliness this as maintenance, but you need to be making sure that bar is beautiful inside. It should be at least as clean as the kitchen. The kitchen, they've got a lot more to deal with. They've got the grease and what have you, which obviously needs to be cleaned up for health and safety reasons and everything else, because you don't want slips and trips. But in the bar, you haven't got the grease, so as long as you're cleaning properly every night, there should be no build-ups. There should be nothing to worry about of that sort. So yes, make sure your bar and everything that your guests will touch and everything on your side of the bar is clean all the time. It can't get as filthy as these bars on Bar Rescue. It's horrific. Don't hire your family and friends. This is number 4. So you'll find on so many of these episodes, the biggest problems that they have are that the worst members of staff tend to be the family of the owner or the family of the manager, their best friend that they went to college with, all that sort of stuff. Now, there's no problems going into business with someone that you know and trust. That's cool. But once you're in place and you need bartenders, hire people on their merits, not on, well, I know this guy from years ago, he's cool, because if they start failing, if they're not the best bartender, if they're not the person that you need to have behind that bar, it makes it incredibly hard for you to fire someone or discipline someone that you've already got there, that you've got a relationship with outside work. It's not so bad if it develops. I'm not saying don't be friends with people you work with. That's not what I'm saying at all. You can be friends with them, but it has to be work first and then a friendship. You can't hire people because, oh, this guy's cool. Because then if it goes wrong, if it goes south and you guys don't end up working well together, you don't want to stay working together, it's going to affect your relationship outside work, and you've got to kind of work all that stuff out. So try and avoid that. And finally, stack orders. This is brilliant. If you watch any of these shows, especially when they get to the stress tests that they do halfway through, so where the bartenders haven't had all of their training yet, they've had a bit of training, they know what the new drinks are, that sort of thing. And the same with chefs. This works in the kitchen just as well. But stack orders in your head so that you reduce the number of drinks that you're basically making. So if you've got 3 or 4 groups of people, and I've got a whole article on this on the Bartender HQ website called How to Become a Multi-Serving Jedi, I believe it is. If you've got 3 or 4 groups of people at the bar, take all their orders, because if you've got 4 Manhattans or you've got 3 woo-woos within those drinks, you're going to make one big shaker full of your Manhattan. Obviously, it's stir, so make sure you stir it, don't shake it. And then you're going to make all of your woo-woos together, and you're going to make batches of drinks rather than one drink for that one, one drink for that one, one drink for that one, because it will speed your service up immensely. By the same token, if you're working in a kitchen, you walk in and you've got 5-6 tickets there. Don't take the first one off, make everything that's on it, then get the second one, make everything that's on it. No, what you want to do is take all 5 tickets, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 burgers, all on the grill, and then you're laughing. That's all cooking at the same time. You haven't got to wait for that one to cook before you can put the next one on. It's not like that. So, by the same token, behind the bar, you need to be stacking your orders, making sure when you go to that beer fridge, you're grabbing every beer you need for those 3 orders or 4 orders. When you go to grab your glassware, you grab all the glasses you need. It's simple. I know it's kind of teaching people to suck eggs, but I'm sure there are people out there that are thinking, oh, that's a great idea. Brilliant. Cool, so do it. Give it a go. I know you guys are going to benefit from this. So just to quickly recap your 5 key lessons learned from Bar Rescue with Jon Taffer. 1. Learn to pour accurately, regardless of whether you free pour or whether you jigger pour. Do it accurately. Don't spill. Don't go slowly. Don't be sloppy. Don't underpour. Cool. Number 2. Keep it simple. So have key menu items that you're going to sell to everyone, and then have the extra knowledge if you want to go off down a little path and create something special for your customer, or you want to introduce them to something a little bit different and make them feel really special. That's great, but have a key small number of drinks that you will be making regularly, and that will also help with number 5, so you can stack up those orders. 3. Take pride in cleanliness, so make sure that bar is clean every day when you leave it. Every day keep your station clean while you're working, and also take pride in your own appearance and your own personal cleanliness. Make sure that you're not coming in with a beard that's out here and horrible. Like, I've got a bit of stubble, but it's kind of, you see what I mean? It's groomed. It's not just overgrown face. Don't hire your friends and family. It's really hard to fire them if they're crap. And 5, stack your orders to reduce your workload. So that's the 5 key lessons from Jon Taffer's Bar Rescue. Hopefully you'll find that useful. Okay, so drink of the week this week is the sours. Not a specific sours, but the sours category of drinks in general. So we're going to take 1 lemon, juice of 1 lemon. 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce of simple syrup. Now you will have to play around with this a little bit to see where the balance works for you guys with the lemons that you're using. Dash of Angostura bitters, and if you want to go traditional and you've got good quality eggs, then you can include an egg white as well. Give that a good shake in there. It'll give it a really nice foamy head and increase the mouthfeel of the drink as well. It'll feel really nice. That's going to be with 50ml. Or 1.5 ounces of whichever spirit or liqueur you're using. Now, we are introducing this, hopefully at one of the clubs that I'm working at, that we're trying to extend our menu a little bit without having to mess around with the tills too much. So, by simply using a double measure, which is 50ml in the UK, along with just a different mixer, we can add some stuff to the menu without having to play around too much. So, you're going to have 50ml of either amaretto, Midori, whiskey, vodka, whichever your customer wants. Give it a good shake, and it's going to go in a rocks glass with plenty of ice. Good shake with fresh ice. Strain over fresh ice into the rocks glass, and then we're also actually going to take the middle out of that lemon that we're juicing and just make a lemon wheel for the side of the drinks with it. So that's going to be really cool. So yeah, that's drink of the week is the sours. Okay, finally time for Tips for Tips, and this is the weekly section where we talk about a quick way that you can earn more money behind the bar. Okay, quick one this week, and it is simply keep your bar top clean and tidy and dry. One of the worst things when you're in a bar is you've gone out for the night, you are hoping to meet a lovely lady or a lovely guy, you've put on your nice shirt or your nice top, you lean on the bar top, and all of a sudden all of your arms wet, and it's horrible. If your bar top is covered in dirty napkins, empty glasses, puddles, stickiness, anything like that, old straws that people have pulled out, bottle caps from when you've been popping the beers off, sort it out. There's no reason that your bar top should be dirty. I don't know if I might have already mentioned this in a previous podcast, so if I have, I apologise, especially if you're actually getting it right. If you are still leaving your bar top dirty, then you listen again, because your bar top needs to be clean. And also, if your guest can't find the tip tray that you've put down with the change on it, how are they going to leave you a tip? So, make sure your bar is clean, make sure your bar is tidy. Your bar top is essentially where you are selling everything to your guests. Give it a good wipe every couple of minutes. Make sure it stays nice and dry. That's your top tip for today. That's it for this week's BartenderHQ.com podcast. Joining me again next week. It's going to be coming out pretty much every week on a Saturday or a Sunday, whenever I can get everything uploaded, normally on the Sunday. In the meantime, come and join the conversation on Facebook, facebook.com/BartenderHQ. You can also find us on Twitter @BartenderHQ. You can find us on Instagram @BartenderHQPics. And that's pretty much it for this week. If you are bored, go and have a look through some of the archives on the website. I've just updated all the front end. It's all looking really good. And hopefully by the end of this week, the BartenderHQ.com book club will be launched. So you will be able to find reviews on the best books about the bar trade. Things like Liquid Intelligence, things like The Bar Book, Jon Taffer's Raising the Bar, which I've got an audio book at the moment, which is excellent. All this stuff will be reviewed on there, and you'll be able to pick it up and find out what's worth reading and what's not. So, until next time, thank you for joining me, and I will see you later on. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the BartenderHQ.com podcast. Find us on Facebook and Twitter @BartenderHQ.